basically humans wiped out dragons out of their memory, which is why we don't have a lot of memory with it. So we're hoping that during this video you might be triggered with some of your memories too. So the connections once was very strong with humans, and it was very telepathic. So myself and Carol, we were here on like planet Earth in our 3D form, and the dragons, we connected to them, and they wanted to come through. So how they initially wanted to come through was they wanted to open up a portal, one at Carol's end and one at my end, and just kind of test the waters a little bit, just kind of test out the energy. And so they did that. They also recognized that it didn't quite link up. The energies, there was a mismatch. So do you remember that, Carol? There was a mismatch?
Yes. And let's make sure that we do open up people to the energy of the dragons with the flame before we do go to the planet.
Yeah, did you want to do that now or at the end?
Let's go ahead and do that now before we actually engage with the dragon energy. So what I'd like everyone to do is go ahead, and we're going to focus, ground, and center our breath, our presence, and our spirit, so that besides being open to new species, we are also grounded within our own being. Because whenever you open a new species, you must also be grounded to the earth and to your own essence. You don't want to just take off and be connected to other species without being grounded in your own essence. So what we're going to do is do 3 breaths in and out, and then we're going to go ahead and go into the purple transmission flame, which will open us up to the dragon energy. So I'm going to breathe 3 times, and everyone please breathe with me to focus, balance, and center. Breathing in. Breathing out. In. Out. In. Out. Placing yourself in a vibrant purple flame of transmutation, allowing yourself to visually pull in, be aware, feel the essence of the purple flame surrounding you, filling you in, feeling, sensing, being aware of standing in the middle of a purple flame, allowing it to protect you, open you up to the dragons, and being aware of the highest and best dragon energy that is coming forth. And so it is.
Perfect. That's lovely. Thank you. Okay, let's set the stage. Shall we continue with our story?
Yes, now that we are open to the dragon energy and protected with the earth.
Okay, so dragons are eternal. Their energy feels young, but they are obviously big in stature. So there's a different energy with every different dragon. They're not all the same. They have a tendency to use fire, don't they, Carol? And to mark you. It's almost like imbuing you, putting their stamp on you. They don't only do that with beings, but they tend to do that with things as well, don't they? And
so there's that energy exchanger, yes.
Yeah. And also, this is how they do it in universes as well. They use portals to travel. That's their method of transport, I suppose, in many ways. And they transport using portals from universes to universes. And what they tend to do is they imbue their vibration on every universe they go to. One of the things that was really quite important for me, Carol, and I'm sure it was for you, was that you cannot go to the dragon world unless you're a dragon. Yeah. So we can't go there unless you are a dragon yourself. And it's fascinating because one of the things that came through when we were in that meditative state was that this is how ascended masters conduct themselves. I found that really fascinating. You know, that they actually become the being on whichever planet they are going to go on to. You know, and it's interesting because they don't change themselves. Ascended masters don't change their own being to suit themselves.
They change the vessel that they are carrying their essence in.
Yeah, Exactly. Yeah, they almost like become one with the planet and the being, and become that. And I was also at that time really guided to say that this is a really important lesson for ascended masters to learn. It was like one of the things, one of the things they really needed to learn, one of the stages, which I was like, okay. So at this point, we decided, didn't we, Carol, that we'd go to the Dragon World, didn't we? We thought this would be a good time for us to go to the Dragon World, and so we went there, didn't we? We went
and we assimilated the dragon energy, which is quite different from human energy. Yeah. You have to be a completely different vibration, a different energy, and allow who you feel you are to change at a very core level. So while you still have your being and your essence, which is important, why you are connected to Gaia, you are essentially transformed into a different being.
Yes, totally. I agree with that. So when we turned up, it was a bit of a kind of awakening for us, wasn't it? I mean, you were gold, Carol, and at that time I was like a cherry red, and the other dragon that we actually met was a powder
and
blue.
We could actually see each other also in that point.
Yeah, we could see each other, we could feel each other. So being a dragon is a very unique experience, isn't it? I mean, the bodies feel like really heavy, but there's this like immense strength that's behind that, and it's fascinating being a dragon because you become aware of what it is to be a dragon. So one of the things that we noticed was that every step that a dragon makes is very deliberate, and it's with intention. And it's interesting because that intention is like a statement. It's a statement to not only themselves, like all the other dragons, but also a statement to the planet that they live on, to say, I'm here, this is me. So every dragon's energy signature is their identity. So that intention is like an energy signature, which also ultimately leads to their identity, which also is like very unusual way of like identifying yourself, especially when you're reading human, because we do it differently, and it's interesting to see how dragons do that.
Yes, and the dragons feel that it is very important to step with intention, and that is one of the lessons as humans for us to learn. With each step forward, we carry intention. And in these times of change, for us to become more aware of how we present ourselves going forward, how we step going forward, how we put our foot down, how we connect, how we are as a being, and what vibration we send as we step forward. So the dragons, that's part of their innate nature, is to be aware of their vibration as they step. And that's a whole different intellectual, physical frequency awareness.
Oh yes, definitely. Yes, it was very interesting, very unique way of experiencing like identity, because we are very much humans are identifying differently with God's personality traits, body language, all sorts of ways and names and categories and stereotypes and but dragons have a different way. Their walk is really, really important, like Carol was saying, with intention. It has a noise to it, and that is their identity. And this is how they make themselves known, not only to others on the planet, but to the planet itself. There's like their personal energy signature. One of the things I noticed, Carol, was that they look young, don't they? But I know they're vast in size, but they look young. But they are really, like, their energy is like ancient, isn't it? It's old, and
much
it's very
like people would assume elves would be. Elves have a very youthful appearance, but they are extremely old, and it's the same type of energy with dragons. Absolutely similar, very similar. So don't let the looks fool you. While we were there on the planet, we met the blue powder dragon. Do you remember that, Carol? When we met, when he very regal, very intimidating to many other dragons. She literally was not approachable to many other dragons. You had to be invited as to a royal court. It was invitation only to be in her presence.
Oh God, yes. That dragon was a royal descent for sure. Yes, that's right. Absolutely. And so the dragon was saying to us when we met the blue powder dragon, after we got over the awe of how beautiful it looks, because a blue powdered dragon is like stunning to look at, isn't it? It's beautiful. Basically the blue dragon was saying it's a privilege to be a dragon on the dragon planet. Not everyone is afforded that right, because dragons are ancient. So what we did is we exchanged energy with the blue dragon. It was obviously of royal descent, and we were guided to exchange energy, as this is how they do it on their planet. We exchange energy with one another, and apparently it's a dragon tradition. Dragon scales are very unique and they're very precious, and also the sharing of that energy is also very unique and very precious as well. It's a very personal and intimate thing to do with a dragon. The sharing of this energy is a very unique position to do that. It's a beautiful exchange for sure, but it's not afforded to everyone. You have to be a dragon on the planet to be able to do that. And what we did is we just put that energy into our hearts. Do you remember that, Carol? We put the energy.
Yes, you did feel like you were changed at your core.
Yeah.
It did change your heart energy. It did change your heart light, and it did change the vibration around your heart, so that your heart literally felt different. Yes,
totally. Yes. All of it feels different when you're experiencing different beings, isn't it? Dragons told us that humanity has been imbued with dragon traits. So when we talk in human terms, such as like bravery and courage, and we make statements like a strength of a heart, or a heart of a dragon, or a heart of fire, all of that comes from the dragon world. They are in our consciousness. It's just that we are just starting to remember it again. So that was an interesting thing to go through, isn't it? It's like some of this is, we see this, don't we, in our history, Carol? A lot of sayings we say these sayings, but we don't really realise where they really originate from. And it's fascinating for a dragon, for them to say, well, it came from us. That's where it comes from.
Yeah, basically when they left us, they took our memory and our connection with them away. So when they left, we no longer had the connection or the memory. So all we had is old sayings that were like empty, because we really didn't know what they carried with them.
So a part of me and Carol being there on the dragon world was we didn't realize at the time, but was to exchange our experiences and our knowledge and our information. So how dragons do that is they touch forehead to forehead, and that's how we exchange the information. And we did that with the blue powdered dragon, Carol. You did it first, and then I did it second, and basically we just exchange our experiences, all of our lifetimes and all of the dragon's lifetimes. We just exchange that knowledge and information between us, didn't we?
It was the experience was quite, your forehead and your whole head got quite warm. Yeah. I did feel a light and a warmth in that area, and it wasn't unpleasant, but it was intense. It was very concentrated.
Yeah, it is intense, that's for sure. Yeah, that's right. So after that kind of exchange of information, we became part of the dragon tribe and part of the dragon family. And so, the dragons were just kind of, helping us with information. I didn't realize at the time, and we discovered this, me and Carol did, was that blessings actually come from dragons. It comes from the dragon world. So dragons used to bless, children, human babies, and how they used to do that is they used to breathe this mist upon the child, and that was their blessing. And it was interesting, because I saw images of humans bringing their children, bringing their babies to the dragons for them to be blessed. Do you remember that, Carol?
Yeah, and it was beyond a ritual. It was a way for the young to connect to the dragons. So the mist would actually form a connection. So when they grew up, they already had the connection, they already had the understanding. And it was a really beautiful thing, but it wasn't just any dragon. It was like the tribal leader or the ascended master. Yeah. Just as many people would go to a priest or a guru or a teacher to get blessings, so that the babies would be brought to the dragon, so that they would have the connection, so that they would grow up with more of an awareness.
Yes.
So what we assimilated in our religion was something ancient years ago, was brought as a connection.
Yes,
to dragons.
Which is the next stage I was going to talk about, Carol. This is where the Catholic Church got their blessings with water from. And it's fascinating because the blue powder dragon was explaining this to us and saying it originated from the dragons. The blue powder dragon was saying to us that the blessing from the church is not quite the same. It's very different. The blue powder dragon was saying the church blessing feels very empty, whereas it doesn't have the power as it did with the dragons. And I was really quite taken back by that, because they totally just mentioned that and volunteered that information. It was pretty phenomenal to know that how some of the rituals or some of the blessings are integrated into our human world, and how much we don't really realize where it all comes from.
Right. And when we take it away from the dragons no longer have it to offer. So when we decided to take their ritual away from them, they no longer gave that to us.
That's right. So it's interesting that this information is coming back now, isn't it? It's fascinating to be a part of. The heart of the dragon is a very unique thing. It's not like a human heart. The actual heart of the dragon contains suns, galaxies, universes. And in our human 3D films, we've seen many of us have seen many dragon films, and we've always been kind of shown where dragons' hearts have been killed or with a sword or some kind of steel, and the reality of that is that's not true. That's not real. You cannot destroy a dragon heart. No steel can destroy a dragon heart. And again, the blue powder dragon saying that also comes from the church. That teaching, that kind of that misinformation has also come from the church. I thought that was really fascinating, because we've seen many movies like that, haven't we, Carrie?
Yeah.
It's some knight comes along and pierces the dragon's heart, and it's yay, savior of the day or whatever.
But they're under a total misconception of what the dragon's heart is. The dragon does not have a physical human's heart. Dragon has a galactic heart, which most people wouldn't even know what that meant. Yeah. I mean, we know now. So a dragon does not carry a human heart. It carries a galactic heart, which now, with an awareness, we have a sense of what that is. Yeah,
absolutely. And also, it was fascinating for the blue dragon to share how they give birth from their heart. So what dragons do is they meld their hearts into what they call a live stream to create new dragons. So and there is a distinction between male dragons and female dragons. Female dragons are really, really honoured on the dragon world, with just all female dragons, full stop, especially on their planet. And females' ability to create is far greater than the males. They are just from the time that they came into being. They already have the knowledge and wisdom, and even the youngling females, they're the same. There's so much wisdom, so much knowledge, even more so than the male dragons. They do have a dragon overlord, don't they, Carol? We met the dragon overlord, and he's male, surprisingly. So after that, we were the blue powder dragon took us to actually asked us and said, would you like to be introduced to a female dragon, and we were like, yeah, of course, well, we're here, why not? And so he took us and introduced us to a female dragon on the dragon world, and that was a different thing altogether. There was so much difference between the energies, wasn't there? We could sense the male dragons with different energy, and the female dragons were just off the scale.
The male dragons are more like generals, and we're doing this, or we're doing this as a community, and they more said this is our next step forward as a community, while like you said, the female is the creator, is the one that creates. The male is like a overlord general, you know, which has to do with them coming or going, or the decision to come to Earth or not come to Earth. You know, if he says we're doing it, he's the overlord. So he has the general's rank to pull on the planet.
Absolutely, and we'll talk a bit more about that later. So, you know, it's a different energy altogether. She felt really regal to me, and I'm sure you mentioned that too, didn't you? It's like this immense power, and the way that she holds herself as well is like really upright, really proud, really high. You know, it's such a beautiful thing to see. And she was also telling us that there are different levels of knowledge and wisdom on their planet with every dragon. It is not the same. And also, like I mentioned, that females are already born with it, which is incredible. I could feel the power, you know, the power emanating from her. Do you remember that? Do you remember the immense power? It was like pretty epic, you know. And there's the female dragons are so like, they're so cool with it, you know, aren't they? She's just so cool with it, isn't it? She's like, yeah, you know, we're powerful, we know that. But the thing is, they don't abuse it, you know, and it's not ego-driven either. It's almost like an acceptance. And some of the stuff, I mean, she was saying, you know, we stand in our power, and this is our way of making a statement. This is exactly what she says. She says, this is exactly what I am, and this is exactly of who I am. And I make no excuse for who I am, which I thought was like, okay.
Yeah, but like you said, she said it in a very regal manner. So it was who she was. Yeah.
Just, again, amazing. So one of the things we weren't expecting, because we were just wanting to experience, you know, dragon kind of world and dragons, but one of the things that she offered us, Carol, was to share secrets with us, wasn't it? I was like, you know, very taken aback with that. And she said in order to do that, we'd have to meld our hearts, and she asked permission she asked us both permission to do that. Do you remember that? Do you remember when she says, you know, you both got to agree and consent to this? Yeah,
and we had no hesitation at all.
Oh no, God no, yeah. So we went and did the ritual. So the ritual of what's called an unbreakable bond. So these are secrets, and they are hidden, and they are kept, and they are given to a rare few. So the reason we were given it is because this female dragon could sense the pureness of our vibration, and because of that, she was very willing to kind of like share this stuff with us, which we weren't expecting any of this. We just played it out, didn't we, as it was required. So we were both taken back by that. So she said that if we do this, it will create a bond, as she is sharing secrets. And she also like walked us through it, didn't she? She was really good. She was saying, look, this is how we're going to do it. How we'll do it is we'll open up our hearts, and we will, you know, use our hearts to share our energy, and this will create the unbreakable bond, and we'll do it between the three of us, which creates a triangle, and that's apparently really important. So we did it, didn't we, Carol? We had no hesitation with that.
Yep,
we did
none at all.
So what we saw was, you know, heart energy to heart energy to heart energy. So me, Carol, and, you know, this dragon, we bonded in a triangle. And then what she did, and she almost like manifested or conjured this out of nowhere, was like a golden loop. And what she did with each heart, so Carol's heart, my heart, and then her heart, she looped this gold kind of binding around it, to bind the energy from heart to heart to heart, which was like amazing to see. Do you know, like, we always talk about manifestation, but when you actually see it happening right in front of your dragon eyes, you know, it's like, wow, that's like magic, you know. That's like pretty amazing. I was like, wow, could not believe that. I was a little bit taken back like that. And so after we did that, the bond was created, wasn't it? And Carol, you're also saying that, you know, by doing this, we had given our fealty and loyalty to her, didn't we?
Yes, that was a very important part of the exchange, because she was royalty. It was very important that we extend that loyalty and respect for her because of who she was. So that it had to be part of it. Is just like he would have a knight do to a king. We just, gave that same respect to her.
Absolutely. And then sort of like after that, she was like, we were just kind of joyful and grateful to be a part of that family. And she was also, exchanging the same, saying, you're welcome to my family, and that was such a beautiful thing, She also made it very clear, and I think this message was for me rather than you, because you got it off the bat, and I was a bit slow. But she says, if you come, because this message was for me, and she was saying, if you come back to the planet, you've got to come back as a dragon. You can't come back as any other being. It doesn't work like that. And I'm like, okay, Mum, no problem. that was me. I also want to kind of explain to everyone what it feels to be like in the presence of a female dragon, and it feels like you're on drugs. Okay.
Yeah.
It does, doesn't it? Female dragons are very alluring, they're intoxicating, but they emanate this naturally. It's not something they are doing, it's just something that they are, and it is like you're high when you're with them. It's very strange feeling, and very, very powerful as well. So yeah, just so people understand that when you're with a female dragon, this is what it kind of feels like. It feels like
it's like she could say, go over and check out XYZ universe, and you're like, whatever. It's like whatever she wants. It's like, okay, you got it.
It's brilliant. I love the way they are. Amazing. So the ritual that we just did with this female royalty dragon, it changed our scales. So Carol's scales became golden lace, which was beautiful to see. Like, this beautiful white lace on top of gold is a pretty unique thing to see. And my scales were already like a cherry red, but they became like a deeper kind of red. And they also the outer edges of it became black. Do you remember that?
So amazing. It was so amazing to see that. It was like, wow, that's like a really cool change. It was like cool black. Yeah.
And I was just surprised that would change, our actual physical dragon being, It was fascinating to see that. And she was also saying that each time we go to the dragon world, our form will change. And the reason she was saying for this is obviously she was telling us because she didn't want us to be afraid, because obviously we saw our dragons, as being a dragon, as in a certain way, certain shapes, certain forms, certain colours. But she was also saying that the energy of the dragon planet changes, and they have a fluidity with it. It flows naturally, and so whoever's actually on the planet, on the dragon planet, they automatically change with the fluidity of the energy. Whereas because we were going to be away from the planet, and when we returned, we were going to be completely different. We were going to be a different dragon. And she was really, really lovely, weren't she? Because she kind of like showed me, what I would look like, and basically, my dragon looks a lot taller, a lot slimmer, and I was like a real deep, dark blue. So all of my scales and everything changed into a deep, dark blue. And she was just tapping into the timeline and showing us, wasn't she? Like, this is when you come back, this is what you'll look like. But don't be alarmed, this is normal. This is how dragons are. So I was like, okay, thank you for that, because I would have been very alarmed. So she was just saying, this is how our planet works. This is the way we are. This is the way we do it. And it feels very natural to them. It's very, very natural.
Yes.
So I suppose the reason why me and Carol are bringing this information to you is because many of you have been feeling dragon energy, and there's been a lot of that going around. And so the reason we're sharing this with you is because what's actually happened is when myself and Carol went on the 26th of March 2020 to the dragon world, we created some kind of bond. Now, there was no expectations with that bond. We wasn't expecting anything from the dragons. But a few weeks later, the dragon overlord basically said that they were coming, weren't they, to planet Earth and to help with ascension. That was their goal, which is very surprising for a dragon, because they don't care about humanity. They've never been like that. It's not just humanity, but it's other races as well. They were like, we don't care. We don't care if you live and die. But all of a sudden, there's this the dragon overlord turns around and says, right, we're going, and so they are here. They are here, and they are vibrating just a little bit above 3D vibration at the moment, which is why you're feeling them so strongly. So we just wanted to bring this video forward to let you know that there is a lot happened between then, you know, from the 26th of March to the present day. This is almost like a little part of the story that we're sharing with you. There is more to the story as we go along, and we will be sharing those stories with you as and when we're guided to. We're not guided to do that with you yet, but the dragon one needs to come out because so many of you are feeling it, and we've been guided to share that with you now. So there are a lot more beings coming forward, and we have already done this, and so we will be bringing it to you as and when the vibration, as and when we are allowed to share that with you. So yeah, I just thought humanity needs to know about this, you know. Yeshua and Metatron, you know, we're very big vibrations. We have been around a long time. We have been in many different universes and spent much time as many different beings. And so, you know, just as much as we are doing this, and it's a surprise to us, I'm sure it's a surprise to you too. So yeah, we wanted to share that with you. So, you know, please share your thoughts in the comments and let us know what you think and your own experiences. But please don't email us because it's really quite simple. There are over 7 billion of you, and there's only one of Carol, and there's only one of me, and we haven't got that much time to answer each individual email, and that's the way that me and Carol are. We would want to, and if we couldn't do that, then we would feel that we're being of disservice to you. We wouldn't want to do that to you. So please, we'll keep, you know, the comments open. So please, you know, talk amongst yourselves, because what me and Carol really want to do is what we've been doing for some time, which is connecting with lots of different beings that want to come together and help with the ascension here on planet Earth, and that's what we want to do. We want to bring those beings forward and let humanity know exactly. So then it gives you guys an opportunity to connect with them too as well, and so you can feel it. So when you say, well, I feel like a dragon energy is around, or my dragon's here, you know, well, this is why, because they are here. And they've been here for a while, and you're feeling that. That it's already in the vibration.
And dragon energy is very different. Dragon energy is very different. Yeah. You know, the heat's very different. Sometimes you'll feel like your physical characteristics change a little bit. Sometimes your perception changes a little bit. You have a different awareness of your environment, especially the earth, because dragons are so aware of how they walk and how they present themselves. Mm-hmm. So there's a completely different awareness of when your foot hits the earth, the vibration, the tremors. You might, like I notice myself as I do change a little physically, like my hair likes to do little dragon ears. Don't know why. I spent all morning trying to come up. As soon as the video started, I got little dragon ears. So it's like, you know, little things to let you know that you're connected. A lot of times I'll feel like almost fire in my throat, and I want to drink a lot of water because I feel it's not like a cough. It's like you actually feel like there's fire in your throat. Not unpleasant, but just an awareness of it. Yeah. And you're also aware of, and Nilesh has said this too, you literally feel like there's a small galaxy circulating in your high heart. And it's hard to explain, but because dragons have the literally physical galaxy, which is how they breathe the fire, because they have a galaxy within their high heart. And so that's just an axiom of the suns and the stars, of what they carry. So you'll have just like an awareness of a galaxy within your chest. So there are actual physical sensations. So if you choose to open yourself up with the purple flame and the breathing, to always connect yourself, always connect and balance yourself. And then whenever you're done with the dragon energy, before you go out, because you don't want a bunch of dragons just being open to humans or just extending it outward, you want to go ahead and close it down, which is the same way. Instead of putting yourself in the purple flame, you just close it off with the purple flame with the head, seal your hands with the purple flame, seal your feet with the purple flame, so that you no longer have that deep dragon stomping connection with the earth. and then just go forward. But just be aware that dragons are different. They are older, they are wiser, they expect more from you. So if you choose to, explore it or put yourself in the dragon energy, know that the dragons expect a lot more of us as human beings. So don't come into it lightly, because they do expect you to be of a completely different vibrational level. And they're not like loving and patient and compassionate. They're like, don't waste your time. If you're going to come and meet with us, do the homework. And I know it sounds cold, but dragons are like, we've been here forever. If you want to come, do your homework. Don't just present yourself to us. And I know that sounds cold, but Nilesh has felt the same thing. They're very forthcoming in what they expect you to present to them.
Yes, and you're absolutely bang on with that, Carol, for sure. They don't take any nonsense. They're not like unicorns. They're not fluffy, arty. They're not like that. They are strong. They are ferocious, and they are everything we expect of dragons to be. And we're bringing this forth to you. So, shall I share the story about what happened with my dragon and the human? Do you think that might be important? Just so.
Yeah, so they maybe have an idea.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to share this story with you. I was with my dragon one time, and I was like sitting on the back of my dragon. So I can be in the dragon or I can be outside of the dragon, but this particular time I needed to be outside of the dragon. So anyway, there was this human that was in front of my dragon and just explaining all of the difficulties it was having as being a human. Do you remember that, Carol?
Yeah, like, I do, because I'm starting to laugh.
It's like I'm struggling with the vibration, and I have all these ups and downs, and I don't know why I'm here, and I just want to be off the planet, and sometimes it's okay and sometimes it's not okay, and so my dragon, and this is all dragons, this is what they're like, just took that human being and just ripped it in half. And I was like, whoa, like that's a little bit like, whoa, and my dragon was very, very clear about that. They don't take any nonsense. They're not there to be counselors for you. They're not there to, for them to listen to your woes. That's not what they're about. And I was like, well, what was the purpose of that? Because, well, the problem with you humans is you just see things as in like 3D bodies. I've done that human a favor. So, like, it was moaning about how difficult things are at the moment on the planet, and I've just literally ripped its body and I've sent its soul back to the beginning. So now it does have something to moan about, and now it will truly appreciate everything that it's going through. And I thought, oh, that's really quite profound. So,
but that's the dragon mentality. That is the dragon mentality.
Yeah, it's not the way, like, other ascended masters or whatever teach, but this is the way dragons like teach. It's interesting that this is the way they do things. So be very mindful, because they're not arty farty fluffy. They are to be respected, and they are to be honored. It's really, really important. And like Carol says, like, be careful how you approach a dragon, because they don't take any nonsense. And you don't want to be stopped again.
Your homework. They expect you to do the basics, which I have said over and over. Make sure that you do breath work, that you do meditation every day, that you are aware of your consciousness, that you literally do work to either, keep your consciousness clear or raise your consciousness. And that is done through water, diet, prayer, meditation. There literally is an expectation, and I know humans and their expectations. There is an expectation of a certain level of homework. A lot of beings don't really care. Like the fairies are like, they love us. Everything's wonderful. They're glad we're here. Earth is very accommodating. Gaia is a very loving, supportive person, obviously. But, there are beings that expect you to maintain a certain level. That means every day doing homework. And Nilesh does it. We make sure that we don't come, into a meditation without doing your homework. Because let me tell you, there's really loving, angels out there. And then there are dragons that are like, you hear the legends, you go to a dragon, you don't know the answer to the riddle, they'll kill you. Don't waste their time. There's a reason that legends is there, because dragons are wonderful, creative, intelligent beings, but they just don't have time for a lot of the things that humans go through. So that's why we're bringing this forth. So many people are aware of the dragon energy. So many people are aware of the dragon energy rising. They're so much aware of the dragons. So we're saying, yeah, they are actually here now. Yeah. But just go forth with homework done and balance and integrity, I guess, unless you have a better way of putting it, Nilesh, is presenting yourself to a dragon.
I think no, Carol, that's bang on, it's spot on. I think that's exactly right. And I also want people to be really clear, when we talk about dragons, we're not talking about the reptilians, okay? These are separate to this altogether. The dragons and reptilians have nothing to do with one another. I know on the human planet there has been that association made, and I want to be very clear, two separate things altogether. And if you tap into that energy, you will see that the dragons have nothing to do with the reptilians. In fact, it doesn't even come into their awareness. The reptilians don't. So it's the dragons too. I'm sure you have that awareness. Are once they're here to help, we've even seen that, and the reptilians would come forth to try and interact. The dragons are like, if you want, we can just like whack them away. The dragons are humongous, enormous presence. And reptilians are just like, they haven't evolved into the same space that dragons have. So it's like when dragons come and help, they're like, let us know. It's like, they're literally, their claws are like, you have no perception of it. And they can just like, and they're gone. So it's like, dragons have been around and have such an enormous developed perception of universality and expansion that they really, there's dragons that are bigger than the earth. Easily. They sit outside the earth and they're towering above the earth because they're a completely different race. And so they're not at all connected to the reptilians. No. And you're right with that, Carol. I just wanted to make sure we made that distinction, because the associations here on planet Earth is not the same as what we're discovering and what we're being guided at the moment. So this is new information, and information for you guys to do what you will. If it resonates with you, that's wonderful. It resonates with you, take it on board. If it doesn't resonate with you, that's fine. Let it go. We're not forcing any of this on anyone. It's just something that me and Carol do, and we're going to go on and do this because we can, and our vibrations match, and we're able to bring forward these extraordinary beings who really want to be a part of, humanity's ascension. And they weren't going to come, were they, Carol? They weren't going to come.
They really, because of how we dismissed them, because they were part of our awareness, and we literally dismissed them. We just took their rituals and what they were, and we just made them their own. And they're like, and they left. They just left, and they're like, fine. And they really, I don't want to say it's cold, but they're like, you're on your own. We're done. And they left, and they weren't planning on coming back at all, ever. Ever.
Yeah. This is like way before time, isn't it? Obviously recently, the connection has been re-established because of what me and Carol did, and we weren't expecting that at all. We were just having an experience, and that's all we went for. We didn't realize that doing that was going to bring them forth here, and actually they are here. And so as we go forward, they're going to become more aware in the human consciousness as well. So see where that takes you. Have a play with the energy, but be very mindful. Dragons aren't exactly what we've been taught to believe they are. They're very, very different, and we're just giving you an example of what that's like here. So you present yourself in the way that you should.
Right, and there are a lot of dragons still that do not want to be here. That came because of what we told you about the male overlord. Okay. And so on the way over here, there was so much. People felt it, the dragon anger, the dragon energy rising, because there were so many dragons that did not want to come, that did not want to rejoin, that were done. So there was a lot of people feeling rising in energy, rising in anger, and they didn't know why they were just feeling this anger. you know, and it was just the dragons that were connected to you in whatever form you were in didn't want to come back. Honestly, did not want to come back. And so that's a process too of what the Overlord and the other dragons are working on.
Yeah.
And it's a process, is having them reconnect to Gaia, reconnect us, remembering their history, remember the connection, because at one time they were part of Gaia and our history. So to get them in a more compatible vibration level, they're trying to get them to remember their connection to Gaia and to us. And so there's going to be a disparity there, an honest disparity.
Exactly, I agree, and then many of you are feeling that. I mean, I know when I spoke to you, Carol, this was a few weeks ago. You know, when we weren't aware that they were here, me and Carol tapped in and we realised that they were there, and I was feeling this immense anger. And it's not like me; I'm a very calm, peaceful person. I'm a peaceful soul. So to feel this anger was very out of character, and I was just feeling angry. It only lasted for a day, even less than that, probably about 10 hours, something like that. But I was feeling angry. I was like, throwing around bags and throwing around laptops and, not caring if they got damage or not. And that is so not like me, and it was, when me and Carol connected, it was like, it's the dragon energy, they're here. And then when we tapped into it, we realized that they were here and they were just vibrating that little bit higher than the earth vibration, and that will continue to stay until humanity reaches a certain level of vibration, or we reach ascension. We don't know. I mean, it'll be up to the dragon overlord to decide upon when they're going to reveal themselves. But it's just another level of energy, and many of you are connecting with dragons. Many of you are doing it, and this is the backstory to that. So you're getting to know why it's actually coming into our awareness now more than it has done before. Right,
and like I said, and we've said it. Maddie and I have said it over and over again, and we will continue to say it in every video. Make sure you breathe. Make sure you meditate. Drink water. Cleanse and clear. As people that have come here to serve and have come here to connect and have come here to help the people around us, it's vital, and we're going to say it every time. Breathe, meditate, cleanse, clear, and drink water.
Yeah, absolutely. That's great. Is there anything else you needed to add, Carol? Or
no, just make sure everybody, before you leave this video, put the purple cleansing sealing over your head, over your hands, over your feet. Whenever you open up to us in a video, we will open you up and do the closing meditation. But please make sure that you do close yourself up, since we have gone through opening, just as essential to seal yourself.